Okay, over here we have what we call the White House, and we call it the White House because it's the White House. It's white. Um, and here's where we have our caseworkers and our counselors. We have a caseworker, her name is Debbie. She works mainly with our families here that check in. And then we have Rebecca and David. They work with the individual members that check in here at the facility. We also have a counselor, his name is Zach. He will see you free of charge. He also sees the community free of charge for anything from drugs and alcohol, mental health, sexual abuse, anything that you need help with, he would be helping you with. Angela is also in this White House. She helps you find housing. She's our rapid rehousing, meaning if you're looking for housing, she gets you on all the lists. She tries to help you budget what you need to budget and help you go from there. We're gonna follow in here. We're gonna take you into one of the dorms. It's called the Men's Night Shelter. We keep the men and the women separate, of course. Our men's night shelter can house 45 men. Our women's night shelter houses 16 women. We have found that we have a more of a need for the homeless with men versus women, so that's why the men's dorm is a little bigger than the women's. This is the entrance to the men's dorm. It's kind of like a little living room area, as well as they have a TV as well. When they check in, they have to come here, they have to sign in, sign their name. They're also required to sign up for a chore. Everybody here that stays with us is required to do a chore a day. And when they do come in, they have to give any kind of electronics that they have. They're not allowed to keep their electronics on them. They can't have their cell phones, they can't have their laptops, they can't have their computers. Check-in time is 6:30 every night. You have to be here between 6 and 6:30. If you're not here by 6:30, you're going to be required to speak with a senior staff member to explain why you were not here to follow the rules. When you call here at 5th Street Ministries, Deborah is probably the one who you're going to speak to. Deborah, Kevin, or Shirley work our front desk, and they will do what we call a shelter inquiry. What happens there is they take basic information, your name, your phone number, your date of birth, why you're looking for shelter. They will then pass that along to our senior staff members, and we make a decision whether they're a good fit to come and stay here at the shelter. If we say yes, we are going to allow you to come here to shelter, you're going to come in and you're going to do an intake. When you do that intake, it's very in-depth. We ask a lot of information, because the more we know, the more we're able to help you find what you're going to need to find. You're then shown the dorms, which here is the men's night shelter. And this isn't like a quote-unquote homeless shelter as you would think. A lot of homeless shelters, you have to stand outside at night and hope you get a bed. When you check in here at 5th Street Ministries, you're guaranteed a bed every night. It's the same exact bed you slept in the night before, and it's the same locker you're going to have to keep your stuff in. If you want to walk out this way, I can give you a quick glance at how the beds are set up. And now we need to remember that this is 45 beds. 45 men sleep in this shelter. In this small area, 45 men are going to stay, and so you get a bed and you get a locker. We do ask that you not have more than 2 bags of belongings, 2 suitcases of belongings, and that's simply because of the space we don't really have. And all sides of the dorm are set up exactly the same. You get a bed and you get a locker. So when you are checking in between 6 and 6:30, you're going to come in here and you're going to have the same bed you had the night before, the night before, the night before. You're going to have the same bed and you're going to have the same locker. So you don't have to pack everything up in the morning. Check out is at 6:30 in the morning. You don't have to pack everything up and take it outside. You can keep it here. We do, tell you that, with your locker, you should probably put a lock on it just to be on the safe side. There's been many people in and out of this shelter. We've had some good cases and we've had some bad cases. We had a young man here that stayed with us off and on. He would come and he would go. He was schizophrenic, and he came from a very, very prominent family. A lot of people think you're homeless, then, you came from a bad background, or you were into drugs and alcohol, or you have a criminal background, and that your mom and dad are poor and they don't have good jobs. That's absolutely not the case. This young man, his father was well known in the community. He was in in politics. His mom was very well known. His family was very supportive of Fifth Street. They always came and volunteered. They always came and did donations. They did wonderful things. He had a wonderful background and wonderful upbringing. Fortunately, he had a mental health problem. So instead of burdening his family, he came here and he let us take care of him. We got him mental health help. We got him on medication. He would come and go. He would come and go. He would go for 2 or 3 days and we wouldn't see him. And then he would reappear. One time he went for 3 days, he didn't come back. 4 days, he didn't come back. We reached out to the family. They had not heard from him. Unfortunately, 2 days after that, they had found him hung in Statesville. He had committed suicide. He just was not happy, and he decided that would be his best bet. On the flip side of that, we had a young man that was dropped off at our door at the age of 18. He aged out of foster care. His foster parents dropped him off at our door. He was 18. He was still a child. We, checked him in. We helped him get his GED. We helped him go to Mitchell Community College and get a few classes for community college. He got a job. We helped him find a job. We helped him get a vehicle. We helped him save money. He wanted to enroll in the Navy. He enrolled in the Navy. He went, he left us and he went to boot camp. He came back and he did a couple tours, and right now he is living in Mooresville. He has a wife and 2 children, and he volunteers here. He makes donations here. So you can see on every part, there's always the good and there's always the bad. I tell everybody, we can't help you if you're not going to help yourself. So there's a very big misconception of the homeless community. Just because they're homeless does not mean that, they came from a bad background. We had one gentleman that was in his 50s. He owned his own business. He had no family. He owned his own house. He owned his own business. He was a plumber. He had a stroke. He was in the hospital for 6 weeks. He lost his house, he lost his business, he lost his vehicle because his business paid his bills, and he was in the hospital for 6 weeks. And then he went to rehab for 6 weeks. He had nowhere to go. He came here. He got back on his feet. We helped him with his stroke issues, with his health. We helped him with his finances. We helped him with a car. We helped him get his business back up on his feet. He has his own home again that he has purchased, and his business is back up and running. And he was probably here for a year before he was able to do that. But he was able to do that. So that goes to show that, like I said, the homeless community is not always what you think or what you see. What we'll do from here is we will go around. We have a women's night shelter that holds 16 women, which we're not going to go in there right today. And we also have a transitional area. The transitional area is basically the senior staff makes the decision on who goes into transitional area. A lot of people that are physically ill or elderly that have a hard time getting around, we put in there. The caseworkers or the case managers and senior staff will decide, okay, so this gentleman's really working his plan. He's really striving for his goals, and we're going to put him in transition. The difference between transition and men's night shelter and women's night shelter is transition, you can come in and out. Once you leave at 6:30 in the morning here, you can't check back in here until 6:30 at night. Transition, you're allowed to go in and out, and their curfew is 8 o'clock at night. So it gives them a little more freedom. It gives them a little more self-esteem, a little more, okay, we're going to give you a little more. Let's see what more you're going to give yourself, because we're not looking for anything from anybody except for them to help themselves. So what we'll do is we'll take a quick walk over that way, and we'll show you how the layout of the facility is, and show you where transition is, and then we'll show you the family dorm. We will go inside part of the family dorm, but our family dorms are full at this point, so we're actually not going to invade anybody's privacy and go into the dorm. But we will show you the transition in the family dorm, and we'll take it from there.